Welcome back once again to howtocookgreatfood.com. If you haven't already, please click that button and subscribe to our channel. Ollie made today, and as you can see right there, just finished. We're doing a curry today, a chicken curry with a Caribbean, West Indian stroke Jamaican style to it. Got some absolutely wonderful spices in there. I mean, I really love this one. Hope you do too. Let's go and do it. Okay, let's take a look at some of the ingredients we're going to be using today. Of course, in the center at the back there, I've got chicken. Now I've got a whole chicken there, which I've cleaned and cut into parts. Skin on and the bone is in. In this glass here, I've got some coconut milk. That's about 1 can or 1 tin of coconut. I've got some onions there sliced. I'm using red, but you could of course use a different color if you wanted. Here I've got some chopped tomatoes, which you can see are about the same amounts as the onions. Now let's get involved with some spices. There's quite a few in here and it's really delicious. So here I've got allspice or pimento. This is a wonderful spice and pretty essential to most West Indian or Caribbean foods, as many other places it is. We're going to use quite a bit of that. It's quite a big flavour here. I've also got here a few cloves. I've got some peppercorns. I'm using white, but you could use black. And as you can see, that there's difference in size between the peppercorns and the allspice. The allspice is, 3 times or so bigger. A little bit of cinnamon stick, some dried thyme. If you had some fresh thyme, wonderful. And a little bit of star anise. That we're gonna roast off and get that ground up. It's going to be part of our curry powder. Here we're going to also add these powders, which is turmeric and coriander powder. Now that's about 1 of those spoons full each. We've then got here garlic ginger paste. So this is 50-50 garlic and ginger, finely mixed. If you wanted, you could just chop it, fairly chunky, but I like it in that kind of paste form. And then here we've got some very hot chilies, but are actually really tasty. Now if you can get Scotch bonnets, that would be amazing. If not, you can get some habaneros like these ones. But yeah, wonderful flavour. I mean, we're not going to put all those in because that's just way too much. I'm just showing you a selection of colours. We're going to add some salt to this, some oil. That is pretty much it. Let's first of all get our spices arranged so we can get a nice curry powder. Okay, I've got my heat on and I've got a dry pan. You can use any type of skillet or whatever. We're going to start by dropping in our allspice or pimento, that cinnamon which I've just broken up, that star anise. Again, I'll just give that a little break. And again, the amounts of this you can really play around with. I've also here got now the peppercorns and the cloves. Just holding back on my thyme. You don't need to be roasting that. So just like a minute or so, what we want to do is just give these a nice little roast, and they'll they might pop and crackle a little bit. But yeah, just kind of gets them kind of moving, I find. Get some nice flavours out of them. Then what we're going to do is we're going to grind that into a powder along with our thyme and our turmeric and our coriander powder. And then we're going to end up with a really beautiful, curry powder to use for this type of cooking. Indian curry powder is pretty much nothing like Jamaican or West Indian. As you can see, the predominant thing we're using here is the pimento or allspice, and it's just a little bit more kind of fragrant in a way. Like you see, you could be putting a little bit of nutmeg in here or so, something like that, or you could be putting some dried red chilies in. But like I say, the chilies we've got are, the fresh ones are pretty tasty and pretty hardcore. Right, that's it. Cool that down, grind it up, mix together. Next step, you should see the powder. Okay, so there we go. That's our beautiful powder that we've just produced, and the coriander and the turmeric are in there. Just going to mix that in. Of course, if you can get or buy some Jamaican or West Indian curry powder, you could just omit this part, I suppose. We're going to mix that in, and then we're going to get over and season our chicken. Really, really beautiful. Okay, so I've now got a container, and I've got all our chicken parts in there, as you can see. Now let's start off by, before I forget, let's get some salt in there. And then I'm going to go in with a little bit of oil. This is just a corn oil, but you could be using something else if you wanted. That's going to kind of help stick everything to our chicken. Now I'm going to put a little bit of this chili in now. I've just cut them in half. Really be careful when you're touching these guys, because like I say, very, very, very hot. You get that on your eyes and on your hands and then in your eyes or something, not good at all. So additionally, I'm going to add a little bit of bay leaf into this, optional. I've now got that minced garlic and ginger, and then of course that beautiful curry powder that we just made. I'm not going to use that, but yeah, make it in quite big batches as well. You can kind of store it, it stores quite well. Okay, simply we need to give this a mix. You kind of really need to be doing this with your hand, but it's kind of working out. Now what you want to do is you want to cover this and leave it for at least an hour in your refrigerator. I mean, overnight's probably the way to go. I'm not going to be doing that today, we just don't have time, but I'm certainly going to leave it for about an hour. But yeah, if you can stick that overnight, that would be absolutely wonderful. Plastic film, shrink wrap, whatever you call it, refrigerate 1 hour or overnight. See you the next day. Okay, so we're back. I've now got a pan here. You're going to need a lid at some point as well, and I've got a touch of oil in there. Again, I'm using corn oil, but you could be using whatever you wanted. We're just heating that up, and we're simply going to get in our beautifully coated, seasoned chicken here. Here it all goes. We'll just wipe that down there. So what we're going to do, we're on a kind of just above a medium heat. I just want to fry this chicken around for about 4 to 5 minutes. Just seal it a little bit, and then we're going to add the rest of the ingredients. Keep stirring it. So that's sort of about 3 or 4 minutes in. Of course, nowhere near cooked on the inside, but we are starting to get moving now. At this stage, I'm now going to add in my onions. And we're going to keep, again, frying this around another 3 to 4 minutes, stirring pretty much all the time. So we're 6 to 8 minutes in now. Next stage, those fresh tomatoes. Try and use a nice juicy tomato. Drop them into the mix. And again, another 3 to 4 minutes. What we want is those tomatoes to break down a little bit and create a nice little bit of moisture. Okay, this is looking absolutely amazing. The smell of this is just so intense, I love it. So we've been going about 10, 12 minutes now, guys. Now, additionally, you could be adding now a little bit more Scotch bonnet or habanero if you wanted. If you are going to do that, and I am, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut a hole in it there, just a little slice, okay? Because with these guys, you want to put it in whole, because you're going to need to take that out later, or at least be able to find it. If you chopped that really small, this is just going to be way too hot for 90% of the world's population. I mean, like I said, that is absolute danger, but wonderful, wonderful flavour. So yeah, keep it in whole. We can fish it out a bit later on if needed. So let's now turn the heat down to just, to about a medium. Let's grab our coconut milk. And like I say, this is like a whole can or tin, whatever you call that. Let's give that a stir. Now that coconut milk mixing with that lovely curry powder that we made, as you can see the turmeric is really coming out there. That is lovely. So, we've lowered down just to below a medium. We've already been cooking about 10 to 12 minutes. Sealed our chicken and got it definitely on its way. We're now going to be adding a lid to this. Excuse me. And we're going to let it go for about 20 minutes. Give it a stir every now and then. Now, depending on the type of coconut milk you've used, this may thicken. Now, if it thickens too much, you just want to add a little touch of water to it and it'll be fine. Lid on, give it a stir every now and then. I'll be back in about 20 minutes. Okay, let's jump in and get some steam out of here for you. It's been cooking away really nicely. A little bit too much liquid in there for me, so what I'm going to do now is, with the lid off, I'm going to continue cooking this for about another 10 minutes. It will reduce down a little bit. Just going to add a little touch more salt. Now don't forget, we did put salt on the chicken. I'm just adding a few little pinches here now. So yeah, another 5 or 10 minutes, just because I want to reduce that down a little bit. I didn't add any water, by the way. You may have wanted to. That depends on the type of coconut milk that you're using. Okay, off goes the heat. That's cooked down nicely for me now. Got a nice consistency there. That's about it, guys. Hope you enjoyed that. I mean, I'm really going to enjoy this. Really, really happy. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you soon. Lots of love.
With thousands of recipes and millions of views, why not subscribe to our channel and join the family?